Hi, everybody. How are you doing today? Happy Wednesday morning. And guess what? No more political commercials. Yay. Everybody could say yay to that. I want to introduce my guest today. This is Miss Jill Branson. And I've known Jill for about 4 years, I think. It's close to 4 years. She's one of the first people I've ever met networking here in Las Vegas. I don't even know if you knew that.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and I think we met at BCN, I think originally years ago. I think that's where we had met originally. But Jill is an amazing lady. She used to be Jacob, you should watch this because you may learn something here. He's a former student of mine. She used to be a stewardess, airline stewardess, flight attendant. We don't want to offend anybody, right?
Yes, that's right.
And then she used to be a flight attendant. And then let's start from there. So you were a flight attendant, and then what happened after that?
Oh, gosh. Well, before that, I was in the medical field. But then after that, that's when I became a flight attendant. And I did that for 10 years with American Airlines. And then I retired because you could do that at 10 years and still get your travel and a pension.
Oh, nice.
Not a big pension, but a pension. And so that's when I started networking. I retired October 2010, and that following year, I think it was like March or April, I started networking, and I was with Premier Designs Jewelry, which was a multi-level marketing, direct sales. And we're going to be talking about that today.
Yeah.
So that was pretty much what I did for 5 years.
So what made you go? So you decide one day you wake up after you retire and you just decide to go to networking group? Like, how did it all
came about because with Premier Designs Jewelry, obviously you need to be going to events. You need to be at an expo or some type of vendor event where I would set up my table and sell my product. And so I happened to meet someone who said, do you want to go to a network group? This is where you need to go. Because I didn't know. I'd never been in sales. I'd never done networking. I didn't even know what that meant.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I went to the first meeting, and it happened to be Win Within with Ace and Gina Fair.
Okay.
And at that time, it was, there was probably 30 people, something like that. It grew a lot bigger. But so I didn't know. I went to the first meeting, and I freaked out.
I was just going to say, so the first meeting, let's talk about that a little bit. Jill and I are going to talk about, I think Jill and I have a lot of the same passion. We want to help the newest of networking. Mm-hmm. So that you got to do your commercial.
Had to do my commercial. And then somebody next to me said, well, you're going to have to do it. Because I saw people getting up, standing up and giving a commercial. And I'm going, what?
Yeah.
I have to get up and do that? Because I was not anybody that wanted to get in front of people. Mm-hmm. I never spoke in, when there was a book report in high school, I was like home sick. I lied, but I was staying home. And I was just freaking out. So I was in that group for a year. And at one point in time, they got up to almost 70 members.
Wow.
And so every week and it was weekly. So every week I was driving 25 minutes to get there. And I was practicing my commercial all the way there, constantly, just doing it over and over and over again until I got to the point where then I started making mistakes because of the fact that I was so focused on trying to be like everybody else and looking at, they all know what they're doing. And they've all been doing this for a long time. I don't know how to do it. And I was so freaked over the whole thing. And then finally, I started to relax. And they all helped. Everybody, they've all been there. So they know that feeling.
That's what a good group does.
That's right.
Yep.
And so they all helped, and they kept saying, well, here's a couple of tips for you, which was totally awesome because I didn't know. And from that point on, once I left that group, I immediately had been in a couple of other groups. I joined a women's group that was around for quite a few years, and they have disbanded in the last couple. But I started to just slowly learn how to do my commercial. And then I had to do a presentation. Well, did that freak me out or
Yeah,
what?
you think the commercial freaked you out,
Yeah,
right?
the
Yeah.
commercial's 30 seconds or 45 seconds, but when you do a presentation, you're talking, it can be 15 minutes, right? And you better know your product when you get up there. And I knew nothing about branding. I didn't know how to talk about my product. And I just thought it was like a sales pitch, but it really isn't a sales pitch when you do your presentation. So, it was all a learning curve, and I went through all the steps, and I just kept going forward. And no matter how scared I got, I just, I made myself do it, and it was the best thing I ever did.
Well, I was going to say too, when we are out there networking and we're meeting people, I've sat next to the greenhorn, and she is just terrified. I remember one girl sold cheesecake. I'm like, how can you not talk about a cheesecake? That's easy. I wish I would have sold cheesecakes when I first started. But the point, don't be afraid out there, because Jill could have been in that networking meeting, and the person next to her, that could have been their second time they've ever done a commercial.
You don't know.
Yeah, so you just got to keep on going out there. And another thing, and then let's talk about, because we had a great conversation in the other room. We've been noticing a pattern in businesses and what they're saying, and you need to be proud of the product you represent. If you're not proud of the product you represent, you're probably in the wrong. You're probably in the wrong business, or the wrong line of product, or whatever the case may be. So I've been really seeing things change with that. We were kind of joking about a term that we hear a lot. We probably won't talk about that today, but it's going to be a question I'm going to pose out to the audience, because I'm curious about that, because it is a new buzzword right now. It's in a buzzword, and there's a big gap, I think, in the market with all that. So that's an interesting. I think that would make a great video actually to talk about that, to get some really seasoned people and to discuss that, which is very vague for the audience. But
that means you have to pay attention and watch again.
Exactly. So, tell us, like, when somebody comes to your meeting for the very first time, what would be the top 3 things you would tell the greenhorn? What is called a greenhorn?
Well, I would say that number 1, you're intimidated. No matter how much of an extrovert you might be, you're still intimidated, because you're usually in a room full of people you've never met before. And the first thing is just kind of walk in the room and look around and look for somebody that may be standing off by themselves, and gravitate to that person. Don't go sit down and get ready, you know what I'm saying, to just sit there and wait for people to come and sit around you. Go find that person that may be off to the side and walk up and introduce yourself. That way you don't feel intimidated, because you're walking up to maybe 3 people that are all already in a conversation and you feel uncomfortable. And if you can't find anybody, pretty much just go ahead and go to your seat and put things down, but then get back up and kind of walk around, because somebody eventually, most networking groups, and especially here in Las Vegas, people are so nice.
Yeah.
They see that you're struggling usually when you walk in the door, and they'll walk over and introduce themselves. But the other thing I would say is avoid giving your business card. Because I think what happens is you walk in a room, and the first thing you're thinking of is, oh my gosh, what did I see? How do you do that? I'll just start taking out my business cards, and the minute somebody walks up, you're going to say, I'm so-and-so, and hand them a card. Just don't even think about your business cards. Totally ignore that. Let the other person do the talking. You just introduce yourself, say that this is your first time there, and then maybe even ask them, are you a member? Have you been here before? That kind of thing, just to kind of bring up a conversation, because we all love to talk about ourselves, of which I'm kind of like that. I think we all do.
I think all networkers are.
And so what you want to do is just start listening to them and get keywords, different things about what they're talking about.
Yes.
A third thing I would say is, this is just mine. If you notice, I always wear blue. That's my branding. Pick a color for your clothing that is you, that you love, that people compliment you on because it's attractive. If you're a person that you should be wearing blue or pink or purple, not maybe you guys, but although I have to tell you,
Well,
men look pretty awesome in a pink.
Absolutely do.
Sure. But anyway, pick a color and keep it. That's because I am now known. Everybody goes, "Oh, you always wear blue. I love what you're wearing," because now they, obviously, whenever I show up like on a show or I do a Facebook Live or whatever, you'll always see me in some kind of blue. If it's not my blouse, well, it's my fingernails. Do you see that? My toenails. It's everything about me has some sort. My glasses are blue. Pick something that people will remember you. And that's one of the things. And I also recommend putting your picture on your business card, because when you go to big events and there's 500 people there and they've already collected probably 5 of the same business that you're in and they don't have pictures, you're going to be one of the ones they'll remember because it's right here on that business card.
Oh, that's a great tip. I just lost my train of thought for a second. The other thing I was going to ask you was, and I apologize for that. Oh, I know what it was. Okay, so we talked about not giving out the business cards. One of the things I struggled at in the very, very beginning was how to organize the contacts that I make.
Yes.
So when you were speaking about getting some keywords, that's one of the tricks I will do is I will find a keyword and I will put it in the notes section of my phone. Or another thing that I do, there was one ladies group that was meeting about once a month here in town, and I would meet the most amazing ladies, but then I would scroll through my phone and I never could, I'm like, unless you knew their first names,
right.
I couldn't figure out I couldn't remember who it was because we got like 500 contacts on our phone. So one of the things I've been doing is if I meet somebody and I'm like I'm on a roll and I'm meeting a bunch, I will put in front of their name, like say it was in the Southwest. We're gridded here in Vegas, so everything's South, Northwest and all that. So I'll say Southwest meeting, and then I'll put like Tamara, whatever the other person's name is. So the next morning when I go to follow up, I go to Southwest or Northwest, wherever I was, and all those contacts are in one little section.
Awesome.
So that's one of the things that I do to keep them out. I'm sorry, I don't know how to do the groups. I can't do that until after I'm done. Those millennials, they know how to do everything. It makes me jealous sometimes. But how do you organize when you meet? Because we go to some pretty big events sometimes, and I've come home with a stack of cards. How do you keep yourself organized?
One of the things that I do is I don't necessarily put them like in categories, like these are insurance and this is, business coaches, or these are finance, or this. I don't do that. What I do is, because there's no reason to talk to everybody. And when you leave, just as you get the cards, because ask for their card first, because they'll eventually ask for your card too, but ask for their card. And if it's somebody that's really somebody that made an impression on you and you really want to talk to them and follow up, either tear or turn the end of the card and flip the, just make it where it's
Julie
tagged.
Booth always tells me.
Yeah,
she does the same thing.
It really helps. And then always bring a black marker, because sometimes people have their business cards that are glossy on both sides and you can't write any notes.
Don't do that, people. Please.
Yeah.
Don't do the glossy business cards.
Yeah.
That's a great tip for networkers, because they don't, it's either that or the person that's writing on it's going to have black all over their fingers. Yeah.
So just if you're going to do glossy, just do one side.
Yeah,
like
there you go.
The front, the back side, make it, and even leave a little bit of room on the back side so that there is a place to write a note. Like you met him at what event, because not all of them are big, but the big ones, like the largest mixer, you're going to be walking around and there's a million vendors there, right? So, and then there's people that you haven't seen in a really long time and they changed their business. So their card isn't the same as what you had, and you probably threw it in the trash, let's be honest. So they're going to give you a new card.
Pile.
Yeah. And then just be able to write something on there. But I mean, there's so much more. I could go on for days, and we don't have that much time. So.
Well, and it is so important though, as you go forward in the networking process, fortune is in the follow-up.
Yeah.
And that is one thing for sure. If you're not following up, you are missing out on a lot of opportunity. Number one is that the average is like 10 to 12 follow-ups now to, close a sale. And I talked to my ladies last night. We had a very big crowd last night at the meeting. And because one of my members had called me and they wanted to have this girl promote her business. And I said, well, that's not what we're going to do, because that's not what this is about. This isn't about, when Jill and I go to a networking meeting, I know what Jill does. Jill knows what I do. If I need something, I'm going to say, hey, Jill, but it's not about Jill and the person in front of you at that networking event or that networking group. It's about the 250 people that Jill knows behind her. So you have to build that know, like, and trust factor first, and then the people, because one of my businesses is completely referral based right now. And to me, that's awesome, because that's what I strive to do, is to build a referral based business. Because if not, we're going to be networking until we're 80.
Well, and we probably will anyway. But one thing I can tell you is, I think people get the wrong impression that when they go to a new networking group, they think that, well, it's been 2 months and I haven't got any referrals. Well, you know what? They don't really know you yet. And if you're not doing one-on-ones and getting out there and getting to know each one of these people, or at least sharing who you are, where you came from, your why are you doing this business, they're not going to take you serious. And plus, here, being in Las Vegas, it's so transient, and everybody we don't trust each other. It's really hard because so many people come from another state or whatever, and they blow in, they blow out, Yeah. And it's just to your benefit to make sure that you are following up, and you make a point of remembering one little thing about them, like ask them about their family, that kind of thing too. They have 2 kids, or they love to play basketball, or they like to hike in Red Rock. Get that information. And then another little tip, gosh, see, here I go. You could, as long as you have their information, send them a little email that says, hey, I just read this article. Did you know such and such is happening at Red Rock? And I know you like to hike up there. Hey, they're going to think you're really awesome. Right there.
I'm very good point. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's the little things. Like,
really,
we're married, right? So we're married, and what makes us happy is when the husband does the little things. So it's like the same thing in networking.
It's the same thing.
Just do the little things. Like I'm pretty good at remembering those random facts. Like if somebody has an aging parent that they're taking care of, that's a great thing to ask them about. Do you need help? Do you need me to come? Can I come sit with mom for a couple hours for you to get, so they can get whatever it is done? And I do want to talk about the person that moves here from another state. Vegas does things their own way. I cannot tell you, and I'm sure that you've met several that come in here and think they can do things the way they want to do it. You will learn hard and fast. That's not the way it's done in this city. It is done completely different than in any other city. I had a newbie come to my group a couple weeks last week, and she's one of those. I can already tell that I'm gonna do it my way. Okay, I'll see you in a month.
Good luck with that.
I'll see you in a month. So the newbies that come in from another state, you gotta tread a little lightly at first when you come in. But if you do the one-on-ones, which are key, you have nobody to blame but yourself if you're not doing the one-on-ones. And I know you probably do the same as I. You must have a one-on-one with everybody in your group. Shame on you if you don't have a one-on-one with every single person in your group. And if you run a group, shame on you, doubly shame on you if you're not reaching out to your members and having a one-on-one. I think that is so crucial, so important.
It is, because as you're representing, obviously, you are the leader of the group.
Exactly.
And as a leader, you should be getting to know each one of your members. Now, granted, not everybody is membership based, but if you have regulars, you might as well say they're a member.
Yeah.
It's just common sense that you're going to want to know more about the person, because it's not all business. We want to know what makes you tick. Where were you born? Were you born here in Las Vegas? Oh my God, then you're an actual native. That's unusual.
Yeah, why are you an entrepreneur? I mean,
yeah, why are you
doing what you're doing?
Exactly.
I mean, there's so many people I know we both know that they've either lost their job or they want to leave their job, and how do they do that? That's what we want to do, is help them. How do they do that? Going back to the why, have you ever read 7 Layers Deep?
No, I have not read that one.
I was thinking about doing this with my ladies group. Your why, you better dig super duper deep, super deep. I attended Kevin O'Leary's event about a month ago.
Mm-hmm.
And if your why is your family and your husband, you will fail. You will fail. That is not deep enough. And there's a book that one of my amazing chick members is, it's 7 Layers Deep. He has you tell your why, and then he has you dig deeper again. And you'd be amazed at the time when you're done, you do the pyramid down of really what your why is, which I know my why, but I don't think I know it as deep as what I should. That's one thing I was going to do this week, is really dig into that piece of it, because it's not big enough to do it for your family. I mean, I think after you roll through and you really truly know your why, I think it's an easy thing to say, but I don't think that's I don't know if that's what gets everybody out of bed. It's got to be deeper than that.
Yeah, it does. And it has to do with things that happened to you when you were younger. Like for me, think about it. My why for getting out and doing all these things as far as speaking, and now now I could get up and talk in front of 1,000 people. It doesn't matter to me. But I was always really shy when I was younger. And my why was, I don't want to be that way anymore. I'm going to do whatever it takes. That's one of the things. The other thing is, I know how I feel when I'm the new kid on the block. And it seems like everybody else around you knows exactly what they're talking. They seem confident and they seem so.
But they really don't.
But they're really not.
Some of them don't. Yeah, absolutely.
They're really hiding it, just like everybody else
Yeah.
is. It's like there are some people who have always been outgoing, right? Well, they have it's a natural thing for them, but you don't know. A lot of those people, they hate being in crowds. They don't like to get up and speak, but on a one-on-one, they're very outgoing, very gregarious. They're fun. They're all those things, but put them in a room with 70 people like that, they just like go sit off to the side, or they don't want to do anything but one-on-one communication. Mm-hmm. And we don't know that until that you share that with somebody. Oh gosh, I feel the same way. Mm-hmm. So I think that's a big part of it, is we just assume what other people think.
That's definitely one of the things I wanted to bring out today. Yeah. Do not assume, do not judge, and people change every single day. You cannot not change if you're an entrepreneur.
That's right.
You cannot, you will never, if you don't change, I have changed so much over the last 3 years when I started really diving deep. I've never really shared the reason why I jumped into networking. It'll be a really long time before I share, because it's a very personal family matter. So I don't talk about it much, but people would be surprised if they knew. But I also think that people that are a little bit more extroverted, sometimes that's just their armor. It's just their armor. It's the way they protect themselves.
Exactly.
I'm an East Coaster. I don't know how to explain that, but we're very loyal to a fault. It's to a fault. We're very loyal, but sometimes people think that I'm like really strong, and I'm not so strong. I'm not so strong. So next time you're out meeting that extrovert and you think, oh, that girl, she gets on my nerves, she's so loud. You know what? You never know what goes on in that person's four walls. That may be just a release. It might be just a way to get through the day. So please be careful not to judge people. Especially for the newbies coming into networking. I've seen some people come, they are so scared
They are, and
to
they
stand up.
look like a deer in headlights.
Yeah,
really.
it's sad.
You know, and I was one of them. I can truthfully say that's exactly, it's like my eyes would never blink. I was like, okay, now what?
Yeah.
And I was in a panic. And it even though for me, I've always been a people person. I love parties. I love doing all that stuff. But when I'm in a new environment, it's the same exact thing. It's like you revert back to whatever it was that made you feel intimidated. And that was what happened to me. Even though I'm great when I'm around like I could be in a office with 50 people that I used to work with. I felt really comfortable. We'd have big parties. I did all kinds of things and I was perfectly comfortable. But when I went to a new place, I moved to a new state, I had to start over, whole different world. It was like, I just felt like I went right back to where I had tried to accomplish during all those years.
Mm-hmm.
But now I'm on a mission. I'm on a mission to help other people. That's what I want to do, is help them to see that when you make a mistake with your commercial, or you do a presentation and you forgot to do something, it's not a big deal.
I want to hold up a Frozen sign right now. Let it go, let it go.
Let it go.
Yeah, let it go.
Exactly.
Well, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit because we're going to wrap up here. But I would like for you Kevin O'Leary said, if you cannot explain your business in 90 seconds, you better get out of business because you will fail.
All right.
He said you got to have it under 90 seconds.
This is nerve-wracking.
Yeah, it is. So I am going to ask you to show us what a good commercial sounds like.
Oh gosh. Because I'm changing it right now. So I'm right.
That's always a difficult one too, when you got to change it up.
Can I see my flyer?
Yes.
Because I just changed.
And we will talk about her event coming up as well when we are done.
I have an event coming up. But I have changed to where I am now saying, oh wait, I had it on a piece of paper and it's in my purse, which isn't in here. But I start out with my name, of course, and I always end a commercial with my name too. But Jill Branson, your answer to networking with grace, confidence, and style. That's how I started out. I didn't say my business name. I just basically started with, this is how I'm going to help you. Okay.
Awesome. Okay.
And then in the middle, I just basically talk about, let's see, how did I worded it like that. And then I kind of changed it. I would go right into that I have workshops, or I have a webinar, or I have something that's going to be coming up, like my coaching, which I'm going to be doing. And we talked about that too, the word coach. That's
another video. We're going to do a video on that because that's a good topic.
But anyway, and I would give whatever it is that I have to offer. And then in the end, I would say what a great lead for me would be. And I actually avoid the word me. I say a great lead would be. I get rid of the me out of it.
Okay.
And just say a great lead would be a new person to Las Vegas, an introvert, and then kind of list the people that would be a great lead for you. And rather than, sometimes you can be specific. I need an attorney, or I need a doctor, or I need whatever, and you can do that as well, so that you're changing up the commercial, okay? Because people tune you out. If you keep saying the same thing like a robot every single meeting, no one listens. So you need to change it up just a little bit. And then at the end, the last thing I always do is repeat my name. And I repeat what my tagline is about your answer to networking with style, grace, and confidence, and end it. Because if they didn't hear you in the beginning, they're going to listen somewhere in there, and you might lose them, but.
Well, you're doing a good job, because we have somebody in our networking group and we finish his tagline there's two of them in particular. I'm sure that both same people are coming to each other's mind. So at the end, they'll finish it for you. And I want to go back really quick to what you said about the referral. So one of the biggest mistakes when someone, and you probably already know where I'm going to go, when someone does a commercial, they use the word someone and anyone. Well, guess what? Mm-hmm. No one comes to our mind. So what Jill is saying about changing up the commercial is key, because what you really should do is when you're talking about what a good referral is you need to rotate that list out of people that you want. Like, so you have to be specific. Anyone who has skin, really, because that is the worst, one of the worst ones I've ever heard. That nothing comes to my mind. But if someone would say a good referral for me is, excuse me, my dog loves Jill. A good referral for me is someone, well, I just use someone, is a person that their baby is constantly having diaper rash. Something like that. Be very specific. Yep. Because people will flash before their eyes if it's not at that very moment. You know how it goes. I teach my students the same thing. I know you guys think this is silly, but it'll be on Jeopardy, and it always was, right? So you'll be out bebopping around somewhere, and then you'll say, oh my God, you'll hear somebody say, my baby has the worst diaper rash. Oh, really? I met to this networking event, so on and so on. So we want you to be out there and hustle, and just keep up the hustle. Do not let the haters get to you and get in your head. Please do not. If we did, we would be paralyzed. We would be paralyzed, I think. And it's just, you got to stay out there. And, if you go to a networking event and you are new, then reach out to the person that looks like they're in charge and let them know. Well, they're going to know you're new anyway, because that's what we do. We always know who the newbie is. But reach out to them, and we will always help you. We are truly here to help with in Vegas, networking is changing big time right now. It's, the groups are changing. I think it's a good thing, though. I think it needs to be shaken up a little bit. So, and then when is your next meeting, Jill?
My next meeting, we just had it. We're actually going dark until January.
Okay.
Because it usually falls, like I have the Edge, which is once a month, and that is usually on the last or the fourth Friday, excuse me. And because the holidays are going to be Thanksgiving and then it's Christmas, I just said, nobody's into it, right? They're so focused when it gets towards Thanksgiving, they're thinking about the company's coming, here comes, my family, I've got food to get, I have all this stuff going on. And rather than stress about it, don't stress. I'm just going to say, forget it. January is going to be a new year. Everybody will have their goals set and they'll be excited about networking again. So it will be my Vegas Connects, which is another group. That group meets on the first and third Tuesdays of the month. And I have that at PF Chang's, which is in Green Valley at the district. And then the Edge, I have just changed locations, and that's at Carrabba's, which is on Charleston in Summerlin. And that one I charge $10 for, because it's educational. We study like I think I'm going to do the Slight Edge this starting in January, which is a book that is, it's, I think, the Bible, so to speak, other than endless referrals, for networking. So that's what we'll do, is like a chapter or two, because we're only meeting once, but I may change it to twice a month. Okay. And so then I'll have 4, and I am also looking at possibly doing a location for Vegas Connects in Summerlin, because right now it's just in Henderson.
Okay.
So, okay. But I also do quarterly mixers, and those mixers are, right now they've been at Mackenzie River Pizza Grill, which is right next to the Red Rock Casino inside the City National Arena, where the Vegas Golden Knights practice. And it's an awesome place. And I have another one coming up November 28th. That's a Wednesday. It'll be at 5:00. You have to sign up on Eventbrite, and the event is on Eventbrite, or it is on also on Facebook, and it's called Holiday Mixer. Okay. Holiday Networking Mixer and Fundraiser is what it is. And it's fun, and it's going to be the Cupcake Girls. That's who our nonprofit is going to be. And there's also a video, so if you don't know what the Cupcake Girls are, it'll explain to you. The founder speaks and shares with you what it's about. So
okay, I will post all of those in the feed as well. Okay. So you met at PF Change this past Tuesday, correct?
Correct. And
so are you meeting Thanksgiving week?
No. So none of them. They're all going to be.
Okay, so she's going dark over January. Okay. Well, I want to thank Jill for coming out today. It's been a long time since we've got to spend any time together, so it was good to spend some time together. I do want to make one announcement, and that is Dr. Roger Elmer has his free brain health classes on Wednesday nights at 6:30 at Advanced Neurospinal Solutions. I will post the address in the link. That is, I was telling Jill about him earlier. He is definitely, if you've never been to one of his classes, I encourage you to go. You will not regret it. He will not let you down. That's for sure. He's amazing. And a lot of times the discussion gets to Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, dementia, a lot of times, because it's people our age and older. So that's one of the things that I've learned from him that is amazing. So tonight at 6:30, that will be happening there. If you have any questions, you can reach out to Jill or myself, and we'll be sure to answer any questions that you have. And we thank you for joining us, Las Vegas. You guys have an amazing day, and we'll see you next time. Did 35 minutes.